In today's video, I'm going to show you how to really step up your die cuts by coloring on them with alcohol markers. Hi everyone, I'm Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. Today's video is actually celebrating the brand new release from Hero Arts. This is their spring 2024 catalog release. We are celebrating with a blog hop. I included one of my cards that I created for the catalog in this video, so I wanted to show you how this came together. But be sure to visit the blog, join the blog hop, enter the giveaways, and check out all of the amazing products that they have available right now. For the card I'm going to be recreating, I'm using the Floral Wreath die, I Appreciate You stamp set and coordinating dies, and then the Best Wishes letterpress set. Now the Best Wishes letterpress set, I believe at the time of this video, is not available yet, but be sure to keep an eye on that because that's going to be a great set to have. I'm going to start by doing my die cutting. So I'm taking this floral wreath, which creates a beautiful wreath on the front of an A2 size card front. I'm going to die cut it out of the Deluxe Smooth Weight cardstock from Hero Arts. When I run this through the die cut machine, I'll be able to take my craft pick and just poke out my wreath. Now I did die cut 2 of them because I am going to layer these together later on. Once I have all of the pieces poked out from both panels that I die cut, I'm going to bring in a scratch piece of paper. So this can be anything that you have, just something to kind of catch the overflow of ink that I'm going to be using to color on my die cuts. I'll be using my Copic markers to do this, and I started out by doing the green. So for this one, I'm using YG13, and I'm going to go through all of the vine that goes all the way around the wreath, the stems for the flowers, and also the leaves. I'm starting out with this lightest color, and what this is going to do is almost give our wreath a no-line coloring look. So it's going to have a very soft and artistic look to it. The reason I have the paper underneath is I wanted to catch any of that excess marker because I'm trying to also color the edges of the cardstock to make it look like it's almost a colored cardstock. Now, every now and then I kind of take it off on the side of this sheet to look at it without the grid line paper. I probably shouldn't have picked the grid line paper to color on because it was a little confusing sometimes to find where everything was at. Maybe a light gray cardstock probably would be your best bet so you can see your die cut white pieces. Once I have all of that lightest color done, I'm going to bring in a darker color. So this one is a YG17, and I'm not going to do any major shading. I'm not going to blend these two. All I'm doing is taking that darker color and adding a line of it to one side of the leaves. Now, some of the stems I do also kind of color in to make them stand out a little more. I think I did that on a lot of the tulips that are on there. So here I can bring it off on the side. You can see how just adding that little bit of shading really makes these pop. They give them some dimension, and it really didn't take a lot of time. Then I'm going to bring in a yellow Copic marker, and I'm just going to add that into the center of those flowers. These particular flowers I am going to leave white. This would also be really pretty to add maybe some yellow gems in here or gold pearls. Something like that would be really pretty for the center of those flowers. Then for the roses, I am going to take R02 and add flicks of that from the bottom and just maybe go about halfway up. Then I'm going to take R01 and go a little bit further. So it's a very soft pink, kind of a peachy pink, and it's a very soft look. I really loved how that came out. There are some additional little flowers here, and I'm going to be coloring these in with the BV, I think it's 02 and 01. I will list them at the top of the screen here for you if you're interested in the exact colors I used, but I'm just doing the same thing where I'm taking the darkest color first, adding a few little flicks, and then following that with a lighter color. I'm not going all the way to the end of the tip on some of them. I'm going to leave a little bit of white showing. Once I pull this off on the side, you can see how delicate and beautiful that came out. I really do love coloring on die cuts. I don't know why I don't do it more often. Now, this is the reason that I die cut 2 of them is because even though this is a pretty decent weight cardstock, it is still very delicate. So I'm going to add some liquid glue behind all of the vines, the leaves, and the flowers. And I'm going to attach it over the top of my plain white one that I die cut out. That's going to give it not only a little dimension on the front of my card, but also some stability so it doesn't feel too floppy. I hate to say that, but it is a little easier to handle when there's some stability to it. Normally when I do any gluing, I am doing it on a silicone mat, and this is the exact reason why. When I'm gluing on paper, it kind of sticks to the paper a little bit, so I have to be a little careful removing that. And I just don't like to have glue on the surface of my glass mat. So that's where a silicone mat really comes in handy. This is the Best Wishes letterpress, and it has a lot of really great kind of all occasion sentiments. I am going to be foiling with this though, instead of doing a better press look. So that's one thing that's really great about the letterpress is you can use them for the letterpress technique, or you can foil with them with your Glimmer hot foil system. I am using some matte gold Glimmer foil, and I used my wreath as a guide to line up the word hello in the center of the card, or about center, wherever I thought it would fit best and stand out and not be too crowded by the vines. So once I know exactly where I want that to go, I am going to use the hinge method using the best ever craft tape from Spellbinders. A tip though I really want to recommend is use a T-square ruler to help you make sure that your sentiment is lined up straight. Because if you add an additional sentiment like I'm going to do, if this one isn't straight, then your other sentiment isn't going to be straight. I'll show you at the end what happened, but I do suggest grabbing a T-square ruler to help you line this particular sentiment up straight. So I had trimmed out that matte gold Glimmer foil to about the size I needed. I lifted up my plate with the hinge method, placed that Glimmer foil underneath so it's the pretty side facing up, and then I could place that plate back down and hold it down with the best ever craft tape. Off on the side, I had my Glimmer system warming up, so I placed my cardstock on there. I have the plate is touching the Glimmer system, push the button so the timer went, and once the timer was done, I could remove that and run this through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. So now when I remove this and lift up my foil and my plate, I have this absolutely gorgeously foiled sentiment. This is one thing I really love about the letterpress is I feel like they almost foil better than an actual foil plate. Sounds kind of funny, but it came out so perfect and it's just such a pretty shine. Now if I bring that wreath back in, you can see how perfectly that fits right in the center of that wreath. So I want to add a smaller sentiment, and this is You're Extraordinary, and this comes off of that stamp set, I Appreciate You. There are a lot of really great encouraging sentiments on there. So I'm stamping this on a white cardstock using the pitch black ink from Hero Arts. I only needed to stamp it once. It came out pretty perfect. And then I'm going to take my mini paper trimmer and I'm going to trim it down into a thin strip. I will also cut additional thin strips so that I can layer it behind here to also help build dimension and add stability behind this. This is something I do quite often, is at least add one extra piece of cardstock. Then if I want to bring in foam squares or foam tape, then that's fine. But I really feel like adding just even that one layer of extra cardstock makes a ton of difference. Then I can bring in my wreath and I'm going to add a liquid glue behind all of these flowers, leaves, and vines. And I can add this on the front of my card. Now I believe this is Arctic cardstock. I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on the blog. So I'm going to kind of wiggle that around until I have perfect placement. And I'm going to set my Misti on top of it because that's something a little heavy and it filled the card front to hold that down. Now my sentiment, I did add a few thin foam squares behind it. I believe my hello was a little crooked, so my sentiment ended up being crooked. No matter what I did, something was going to be crooked on here for some reason. Hopefully you didn't notice, and hopefully the recipient doesn't notice. So I'm going to attach this to a side folding card base that I just like to use my bone folder to reinforce that fold. And then I'm going to take a large tape runner, add the adhesive to the front of that card base, and then I always kind of start in the bottom left-hand corner and work my way up and push down to secure that onto my card base. Something I didn't do on my original card, but I wanted to add here just for some fun, is adding these clear dewdrops. I thought they were just kind of a nice soft touch. It's very subtle to around my wreath, and I just placed one kind of sporadically going around. They were just a nice soft sparkle or shine to them. And that's going to finish off the card project. I love how simple and clean this is, and by coloring on our die cuts with our markers, I think is a beautiful touch to the die cuts that we can do. And again, head over to my blog. I will have that link down below in the video description to check out more inspiration that I'm sharing over there and join in the blog hop. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I'll see you again soon.